in the image, most of the information is very blurry. Suddenly there's something that seems more focused. It's in the upper right hand corner, and it is a water droplet on a sheet of glass. This is my conclusion. I call it that. I don't know if that's really what it is, but let's continue. The image is sometimes assumed to be derived from another image, which I'm going to show you here. Now I'm also going to take this image, rotate it, and it will seem that you'd have to rotate it a lot and it would make it look very different, but it really doesn't. But I want to point out something, that the water droplet effect is upside down. It isn't the way you would think it would be. Normally that would be caused by something that would have dark on the bottom being on the raindrop. That means it would have to be dark up top and light on the bottom. Now there is a way that could be done or that happen, but I'm going to get to that in a minute. So let's go on to the next image. This is the image people sometimes think it's derived from because they're very similar and it's actually from the same angle. The photo you're looking at here is sometimes called congestion, and it's supposed to be, and nobody gives the actual origin story page, it's supposed to be obviously airplanes taking off in a congested air traffic controller situation. And sure, but this could also be lights directly behind the person in a semi-straight line being reflected by a window in a room. That's the problem with this. It's an extremely easy effect to create, including, I'd like to point out, these foreground lights here, or background lights. But it is equally blurry and seemingly could be the same sort of focusing effect where one part seems more focused than the other. I'd also like to point out, if I'm going to give a link to the image, some of the JPEGing looks like water droplets. Good JPEGing only looks smoothed. So I'm going to bounce to the next image. This one's lined up roughly the same way, and you can immediately see that it's not from the same photo. This was not created from this photo. It just wasn't. There's too many differences. It would be too much effort. It would be easier just to take this one and alter it instead of also altering out the lights and a bunch of other characteristics. And honestly, maybe somebody did that to make it harder to track, but the point is that it would be much easier, and now that it's flattened out you can see this, to just take a photo of it. And you may have noticed the water droplet doesn't seem to have tilted very much. Now I'm calling it a water droplet because that's the best wording I can give it. So here we go. When we zoom it in, it's not really zoomed in, it's just made bigger. You can see from the background, which would be presumably a far distance away, which means if this was further away, it would be larger, which is the whole point. It's supposed to be a big spacecraft over O'Hare Airport. Okay, well, if that's true, this area back here is blurry and this is focused. That means that it implies that it's much different focusing. The only way that happens usually, if you're looking at something hundreds or thousands of feet away with a camera, is if the thing is in the foreground, which means it's very tiny. That's normally it. Now, as for the dark on the bottom, which indicates that it's an image on the other side should be dark on top, this may be up at a strong enough angle on, let's say, a sheet of glass that it's looking underneath an overhanging material like an overhanging window pane, or even literally just part of the building above it. That could be easiest explanation. Now I'm kind of rationalizing, it sounds like, and obviously I am. The problem with this is, if someone saw that, took a photo in this ratio, and got this much JPEG noise in it, this is the actual original image here, by the way. This is how good it looks. When was the last time you took a photo of a JPEG photo and had everything in the distance where the object is supposed to be get that badly blurred to the point that you can't even tell what it really looks like until you see the other image I got? But this one shows an actual kind of crisp line to it, totally different than the rest of it. And it blends into the sky great. I mean, if you cleared this up, if you squint a little bit, would you actually see that? I'm just saying. Also, again, I got to point out, this is the actual angle it's looking at. That's not where the pilots and ground crew said the O'Hare UFO was. It just isn't. It's the wrong end. It's not the same location. Also, it doesn't match with any of the other images. It's pointing in opposite direction. So anyway, this is the cleaned up one I made. All I did was tilt it, clean it up just a teeny bit. It doesn't have up here, this is obviously where it's tilting. It's a pretty good angle. The other images you look at online have the above top secret or other forum label on it, and then they say, well, we can't get the EXIF data. Well, of course you can't, because the image has been totally altered and hammered, and it's a modified image. The Above Top Secret website alters all your images, so you can't analyze them for EXIF data or any JPEG editing, because the website automatically adds its watermark to it. So that would be impossible. Anyway, that's what I thought I'd give you, and I can confirm this